Couple things. I wanted to talk about something that people don't talk about in terms of getting prepared for a gig, and I think is really helpful when you've got a lot of tunes in your book. So right before the pandemic, I'll show you guys these folders. I got these folders made up for my band that have the band name and the folder. I was very proud of myself for that. So the book has a new tune for this weekend, 71. So we're up to 71, and like the books are this thick, right? So I'm taking everything out, putting them in order. All these little things make for a good experience for your band when you go to play a gig. So I'm just saying all those little things, they do make a difference. And I sent out the set list like 3 weeks ago. I know sometimes it's nice to have total flexibility, but knowing that I have to bring the folders and cut everything down and like select the sets ahead of time is actually for me, I think, a good thing. Like, all right, this is what we're gonna play. These are the tunes that we have. We gotta make a set work with these because we don't have all the charts. That also reminds me that I need to get some gigs back happening for the band because we have so much music. We got to get it back on the road. So if you want the band to come to where you are, you got to let me know. I've got another record for this band coming out, the Chamber Music America grant that I got a few months ago. Working on music, 10 new tunes. We do also have our Jazz Trombone Day. That's November the 20th. And I keep mentioning it on the stream because it'll be streaming. We'll be streaming live all day, and we'll have a great concert in the evening on Saturday, November 12th. So if you can join us, we would love to have you from anywhere in the world. And we're going to have some really great trombonists as guest artists. Ido Meshulam from LA, from Israel, will be here, and we will be having the YouTubes play, which is the Jazz Trombone Ensemble from UNT. And I'll be starting the day off with a recital, and we're going to have two virtual guest artists. Jeffrey Miller, who's played with Wynton Marsalis and Ariana Grande and John Legend. And we have TJ Norris, who plays with the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. And it's just going to be a great day. So I hope you can mark that down. I've got another record coming out of Focus, it's called. It's some stuff I've been working on over the last year or so. Solo trombone, some trombone ensemble, some quartet. Was that a large bore horn you were playing on the stream last night? Yes. So I have this trombone, in addition to the 3V Plus that I play most frequently. So it's a Con 88H from the late 60s, and I play it sometimes just as a, to switch things up a little bit. I've never been good at switching back and forth, so I kind of like, let me play this one for a while. And so I'm just playing it. So I decided to play that one this week. I think it's, it's a different challenge. I do like the sound of the large bore. Marcinkiewicz made me this mouthpiece that's pretty much, it's a large bore and it has a little bit different shape than the normal one that kind of matches the one that I play on the 3B Plus. Where in the mouth do you tongue? And what's your general opinion on this topic? I was always told that you should tongue where the gums meet the top of the teeth. I had a long time where I unwittingly would tongue kind of between my teeth. And I had to move it up. But when I double tongue, for example, my tongue doesn't go that far forward. It kind of stays backwards back a little bit from there. So it's kind of like up on the soft palate part, like in the front, but on the soft palate part of my mouth. But for single tonguing, that's what I'm aiming for. Is if it's in between the teeth, it's too low, and if you get too high, it starts to get muddy. And when you're triple tonguing, I think about it in a circle. So it's like because it goes ta ka ta, right? Ta at the top, ta ka ta 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 ta ka ta. It's like a circle. New to trombone and cannot find the high pitch positions. If you're up like super high, like way up there, there's a lot of different places you can play it. Like some people say to play E flat, high E flat in second. I can never hit it there. I always play it in third. You can play them in all the natural positions. Like they're also just in first, second, and third. Generally in the upper register, I play high D in first, high E flat in third, high E in second, high F in first. Like I like to play C in third, to play B flat in first and third. I like to play G in fourth and second. I like to use first and third position A flat. When improvising, when reading music, I never use first position A flat. Sometimes there's contexts where you can kind of get away with it. Like, so if you're in D minor, can kind of get, you can kind of use it. But usually third. That's my least favorite note. Not that anybody asked. Who are some players today that influence you? I mean, a lot of my peers influence me a lot, and the people that I play with and work for, like Anat Cohen and the Tentet, Nadia Nordhaus, a great trumpet player, Vitor Gonçalves is a great accordion and piano, and like, oh, of course, like Marshall Jokes and Ryan Keberly and Michael Deese and these guys, you know, James Burton, and not only the way that they play, but the way that they are and the way that their professionalism and everything, you know, playing and language and music and stuff, you know. I mean, there's a lot of people. I could just list people all day. You know, I still listen and feel inspired by Chick Corea and Pat Metheny and like Lucas Pino, who plays in my band. You know, he's writing some incredible stuff. And then the people that are coming in for like Ido Mushalem, or like these finalists for the Jazz Trombone Day, you know, they're playing great stuff. And I think some of the influences stick for a long time. And then it's kind of just being open to whatever's happening now. Have you ever been asked to write and bring a tune into a band? Were you able to do it? Yeah, Lucas asked a couple times to bring charts to the nonette. But like, I always feel like it's always awkward though, especially when it's always original music. I mean, the band leader probably doesn't think so, or they wouldn't have asked you. Sometimes I'll like adapt something for a different project. Like we did a record for Positone called Something Blue is the name of the record. And like the week before, it was like, oh, everybody bring tunes. But then we didn't know what the instrumentation was until right beforehand. And so then we had to figure out like what that's going to be. And so I brought in a tune from this record called The Chase, and we redid it again. It's called Why Aren't You Excited? And so we recorded that on there. But you kind of sometimes you get shortcuts for putting together arrangements. You know, you repurpose something. Can you think of any daily exercises where the goal is to go slower every day? I don't know. I think articulation is the one. Language, like taking language through the keys. Maybe playing pedal notes so you can hold them out longer and longer. But no, not off the top of my head. But it's a good idea. Something that requires a good amount of stamina you would want to practice. So like if you were working on the upper register, or melodies, ballad melodies, like up in the upper register, maybe you want to take them slower and slower and slower. What are some things you've done or changed about your teaching to make you a better teacher? I think that being open to different points of view is important, and to continue to try to learn stuff. And I think that it's important for a teacher to demonstrate the big picture concepts that they are espousing, you know, like, you know, working hard, doing projects, playing gigs. It's in the music world. I mean, you know, like doing things, like you gotta, like, it's not just in a vacuum. We're not just practicing in a vacuum. You know, I try to refine like curriculum, and I kind of swing back and forth between being more prescribed and more open to doing what the students want. It kind of goes back and forth. Even within a semester, sometimes it has to go back and forth. But I think I've become a little more relaxed, and kind of just knowing that every person is going to progress at their own speed. I used to kind of be like, no, you need to do these exercises, do this, and that will get you over to this place, and then you can go and do what you want. You know, I kind of had that sort of mentality, you know, at a certain point. But I think, you know, you kind of have to have a balance of expectations and things like that. But trying to have like specific exercises to fix or address specific problems, and that's something that only comes with experience, I think. Having new ways to practice, teaching ways to practice. And I think my job as a teacher is not always to tell you to do something. It may be just to ask you a question and for you to think about it differently than you thought about it when you came in to the beginning of your lesson. And I say, well, what about this? Or what about that? Did you think of it this way? Have you thought about it this way? What if you did it like this? Especially as you move along through a degree program, or the longer you spend time with a teacher, I mean, most of my students, they know what I'm going to say about something before I'm going to say it. You know, one of my students was like, oh, you're going to tell me not to play this on this chord and whatever. I'm like, you're probably right. At least I'm consistent. It's kind of like you get to a certain point, and then you just kind of have to let things be and try to shape each person into the person that they want to be. Because it's not about what I want. I want them to make informed decisions. You know, that's my whole kind of basis, educationally speaking, is that I think it's really important to make musical decisions from a place of strength and a place of understanding. And that has to do with tunes, that has to do with trombone technique, that has to do with language and vocabulary, and playing the history or not playing the history, playing free or playing modern or playing trad or anything. It's like always like you need the knowledge, and then you can do whatever you want. You know, I don't care. Like, it's your life, it's your music. Just because I hear it a certain way doesn't mean you need to hear it that way. But I will tell you, like, oh, you could do it this way, this way, this way, this way. And then it's up to you to kind of figure that out. And I know that I was frustrated by that teaching approach when I was in college. It made me and my friend Chris start a nonprofit dealing with jazz education and having a way to practice improvisation and teach improvisation to beginners, beginner improvisers of all levels, meaning like from just picking up the instrument to having been playing an instrument for a long, long time, and coming up with ways to engage with people with improvisation as a technique for enhancing musicianship. It's something I've been thinking about for a long, long time. How would you integrate a new piece of vocabulary into your playing? And that's something we deal with all the time. And I think that part, the last part of a new piece of vocabulary, is the hardest part and the part we skip over the most, because we have a teacher or we're in a class and they say, hey man, like, learn this in 12 keys or play this lick in 12 keys. And that's cool. And I do that. I think it's important, but the actual application is the most important thing. And so for anyone, for me in particular, I have to start with just plugging it in. Okay, what is some places where I can play this lick? Is it a 2/5 lick? Is it 4 beats for each chord? Is it 2 beats for each chord? If it's 2 beats in each chord, maybe you find a tune that you can take it through. Tunes have sequences. The Bridge of Cherokee has a sequence, right? Hold step 2/5. So can you take it through that? If it's long 2/5s, 2/5 1, 2/5 1, right? Down in whole steps, or maybe it's like the Bridge of Eternal Triangle, right? And it's da 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 da, and then 2/5 2/5, right? Quick. And so you maybe do it long version and then short version. So basically finding a place to plug it in and then plug it in. And so once you've plugged it in, then it's important that you start to be able to hear it in context with what you would normally play. So then I'd say, all right, when we get to the bridge, if it's maybe the first 2/5 of a bridge, say, we're going to improvise into that lick and we're going to improvise out of the lick. And you got to do it 10 different ways. So you got to play 10 choruses and go into and out of it in different ways. And that's the part, the application part that we forget to do, or we run out of time to do, What are your lifelong goals as a musician and non-musician? Something for a non-musician could be to have a family. I have been having a lot of reflection on these sort of questions particularly over the last 7 months. It took me a while into the pandemic before a lot of things kind of hit my radar. It took a solid year of reflection before things started to kind of light bulb. I don't know about light bulb, but kind of just like, oh wait, I used to think it was not that common of a goal to like say like, oh yeah, I'm going to go after like freedom and like be able to do it what I want when I want. I think, things are changing, and those goals that I once had, I'm not sure that I still have them, to be honest. Like, I'm not sure that they're the same. And there's a lot of things I used to think about certain situations or certain people, not people, but just like, oh, a person that does X or that does Y, or like a professor, like, oh, well, that person clearly doesn't want to be a player. That might be something I would have thought when I was in college. And now I see all of my contemporaries, people older than me. Mike Deese is a great example, of someone that really is a player and then also is a professor and maybe also does other things, And so for me, my goal right now is to kind of come to a sense of peace with myself. For a long time, I've been on the grind train, and I'm not saying that I'm going to stop doing things, or I'm not going to keep working, or I'm not going to keep having projects, or I'm not going to keep writing music or anything like that, but coming at it from a new angle, I think, instead of from a more is more angle, and more of the right things, or more of the things that matter more. Yeah, it's like I just don't want to have regrets, so something that like I've realized that I want to change, and I don't know what the specific goal is based on this observation, but even gigs at the highest level are still a hamster wheel. That's been a recent thought. And what I mean is it's a hamster wheel because you got to get back on every time you put out a new record. You got to get back on every time, like to earn money. If that's your only way to earn money is by playing gigs, then you're just constantly trading your time for money, right? You're constantly, all right, here's 60 minutes is worth 300 bucks. Here's whatever, maybe it's 100 bucks for 5 hours, whatever it is. You're like trading your time for money. And so in certain situations, you don't play gigs for the money anyway, of course, but like the goal is to not do that, to create so much value and create a life in which I don't have to get on that train every, X amount of weeks to like tour for X amount of gigs to make X amount of money. That's kind of like the peace and the place that is what I'm trying to get to. And I firmly believe that like it is not the job of a musician, of an artist, to have to be poor, and for a musician to have to be desperate or destitute or the starving artist. I just don't think it's true. And I don't think you're welcome to go and be that, but I don't think that has to be the reality for everyone, or for you, for whomever. That there's so many ways to integrate art into your life and pursue things that can help you to make the life that you want. So anyway, that's kind of the long, circuitous answer to like I'm trying to come to peace and trying to come to some kind of understanding of what it is I want to be doing, in addition to playing. Obviously I want to play, I want to tour. I was just saying, I got all these freaking charts, I got to organize this damn book. So I mean, it's like, yeah, I want to do that, but also not have to feel compelled by forces outside of myself. Anyway, yeah, see, that's exactly the thing, you feel like there's some kind of thing, like Peter says, like that, hear from someone who has done it, done what? What have I done? Like that's how it feels from over here, and I think that the longer it goes, the more I realize that it's just like going to keep on feeling that way. There's I can't really comment on people's names, but there's some situations that have happened that I've observed, and I'm like, I would have thought that person was not in need of any opportunity at all, and then you find out through some situation that happens that like, oh, that person is not cool, they need help. So goals for me is like just to not be a burden on other people, and to take care of what I need to take care of, and not be irresponsible with life stuff, and irresponsible in that I don't want to cause harm or anything to anybody else through that. Value in practicing pedal tones. I mean, sometimes, number one, you need to play them. And for me, they're a color and effect, just like many other things. And I find that, the stronger your pedal register, the stronger your low register in general, the easier the upper register is. It helps you control the air in a different way, And there's one thing to be able to play a pedal tone, and there's another thing to be able to use a pedal tone. That's something that I've tried to integrate into my playing, is that if I hear it when I want to improvise and I want to play a pedal tone, I want to be able to do it, so I want to be able to get to that and access them. So you have to practice them. There's like an Arbenz exercise, where people go. So you do that exercise, but you use a pedal note. Playing stuff like that to be able to use the pedal tones on command. That's the trick to me, to like get to the next level, man. It's like, it's not about just like play the pedal note. It's about like use the pedal note. So I've also come up with arrangements that I play that force me to use those parts of the register. I have a solo trombone arrangement of Single Petal of a Rose that I do that has pedal notes in it. And I try to use them when I play in intros or cadenzas, just because like I want to be able to use it as part of the expression of the trombone. Marshall Jokes does it so well, and I'm like, man, it sounds great when he does it, so I want to be able to do it. I want to do it too. All right, it's been a great Q&A. We'll be back soon, either next week or the week after, but Tuesdays afternoons, if you want to come and hang out, ask questions, I'll be here, and it's always good to connect. So have a safe and wonderful rest of your week, and we'll catch everybody next time. See ya.